27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
And there isn't one of us that doesn't want to be someplace else. This is what we do. Who we are.
Survive a war, you gotta become war.
Boom. And welcome to Rambo and Friends. I am your host, Joe Rambo. Happy hump day. I got something I got to say. So I want to give all of the moderators on all channels, mostly Rumble, a heads up. So there's another show that's been attacking me ad nauseum for the last 2 years, to be honest with you, ever since I had them on my show as a guest. I believe they're traitors to the movement, so we'll call them the No Name Show. But I just want to give you guys a heads up. They went like pretty hard on me like an hour ago, accusing all of you of not actually hitting the thumbs up button and us purchasing likes and views. So they then went ahead on their show and purchased 1,000 likes. So stay tuned tomorrow when their show doesn't hit the leaderboard, because I am well aware of how Rumble works. They do not acknowledge purchased likes or views. I'm probably going to make a post clipping what they said about us today, about you guys and me, and I'm going to show that it didn't hit the leaderboard. That being said, I am super grateful. You guys did put both in a simul stream. You guys put both Dave's show and this one on the leaderboard yesterday. That is legitimately because you guys go out there and are active in our chats and hit that positive affirmation button. So I want to say thank you. At the same time, I bring up something. You guys are probably going to see them. They're already coming over here and hitting the thumbs down button. But it was my mistake. You know, I, as much as I say protect your mind and control your emotions, when people attack you specifically, when you're just out here trying to do the right thing, help people with addiction issues, you know, fight for all of the major topics that we believe are important in this movement, it's easy to get egged on and drawn into an altercation you don't necessarily want to do, because they're fading away. So I shouldn't even be involved. I should just allow it to happen, but I'm human. So I hope you guys understand that. Keep your eyes out, just mute them and get rid of them. It's no big deal. But I will be showing that tomorrow, because I'm not going to be called out by liars and not prove that they're liars. So thank you guys all for the support yesterday. Thank you guys all for your support and being here today. As you all pile in, I see you. Look at that. And the thumbs up are going way up. So thank you guys very, very much. Now, as far as today's concerned, I'm super excited. First of all, I love this dude, especially now that we met in person. Last weekend was an absolute blast. You heard us talk about it yesterday. I can't wait to hear his opinion on everything that went down. Probably the number one dancer that was there ahead of me is the Patrick Gunnels. So I'm really excited, dude. Patrick, his freaking dancing was awesome. It was absolutely cool. So let's hear from the boss and then bring a friend on.
I wouldn't miss a chance to talk to my friends. These are my friends.
Boom. Patrick, how's it going,
Rambo, what is up, my friend Joe? You know, you were the number one dancer there. So when I was watching the dance floor, I was like, what the, who the fuck? Who? Who I don't know who the fuck that is. That's a real dancer right there. We have a real dancer. So what you got from me was the halting, clumsy attempt at dancing by somebody who's had weekly dance lessons for about a year, and I can muddle my way through a few things. But you were great. Watching you dance was a pleasure.
Well, when I was little, my parents figured out that I had rhythm very early on. So this is probably not something I should tell the world, especially when I got all these trolls coming in. By the way, I didn't mean to make you a part of anything. That was not my intention. Uh, my parents put me in dance class like pretty early, like
That's
jazz
great.
and hip hop and tap and
Hell
all
yeah.
those things. And you know what? It helped me in sports. It helped me in everything that I did. It truly did help me in football, help me in lacrosse. It gave me a level of coordination a lot of kids were lacking in early on in sports. You know what I mean? So now that I'm old and fat and I can still do it a little bit, it's always fun.
Yeah, it's such a great. You can make women have so much more fun if you
Yes.
know what you're doing on the dance floor. You don't have to be good. You just have to know what you're trying to do and help them along with it, and they will have a good time. And it's a real helpful skill for social parties like that.
Well, you are kind of like a Houdini at these events. Like
Yeah.
all of a sudden Patrick would be there and he'd be in the middle of everything. And then you're like, where the hell did Patrick go?
I've developed a reputation for being able to peace out in a cloud of smoke. I can turn into vapor right before your eyes because I get freaking tired. And by the time when I'm tired, I need to go. I need to be in my bed quick. And I can't say bye to everybody. So I choose to say bye to nobody.
Yeah, I can't say that I'm hating on it. I kind of like your style because it was my first event, right? So I was overly excited. Like I'm as transparent as they come on the show. I'm never going to hide my even my faults, right? I was very excited, like probably overly excited. John was probably like, "Shut up, bro." But like I was, and Kim was like, "Yo, bro, you need to calm down a little bit. Like we don't have to be involved in everything." But like it was awesome to me. It was awesome. It was my first Gart. Everybody was so cool. Everybody sitting in a chair listening. Everybody sitting up on the panels talking. It was awesome. It was awesome. I thought you did a great job, bro. And
Thanks, man. We're
I think
doing another one of
dancing.
these bad boys. We're doing it in Vegas next. I don't really know exactly what I'm allowed to say about where the event is. Typically, if I know where it is, then everybody else knows too, because they try to keep me out of the loop on account of I can't keep secrets to save my life. But it's going to be awesome. In the middle of the desert, March 6th through 9th. I know that's on the website. So,
Well, Kim and I are highly considering. I don't know how much you know about our story.
I know
But long
nothing
story
about anything.
What's that?
I know nothing about anything. Tell me.
Well, the long story short is Kim has 4 kids and I have 1. And when we first met, I was like looking for the door the second I heard that, like any normal man at his early 40s would do. But then she got, I told her when she did that, rather than hit the door, I told her the truth about my background through addiction and going to jail and where I was at in life. And, it had been well over a decade that I was good and fighting for my son and all that. And she didn't run. And so she turned around and told me her story. And we found out, I'm sorry for all you guys out there that know this story, but I'm telling Patrick, Kim had 4 kids for a reason. Kim had 4 kids and was single for a very, very intriguing, important. I'm not sure what the word is I should use on this, but a reason that made me want to be part of what they had going on. And that was that the stepfather of the first 2 and the father of the second 2 had groomed, raped, and molested the oldest and was in prison. And so I had lost my family through addiction, not just my son, but also, brothers, sisters, everybody. And when my dad died and I decided to become part of this movement and then I meet this girl who like kind of desperately needed somebody that wanted a family and that stood up against child trafficking and grooming, etc. It almost felt like I had to give it a chance and take a second date. And it ended up the 3rd date, and now here we are. You know what I mean? it was kind of like God put us all in each other's lives at the right moment. I was not ready to sign up for 4 kids, let alone getting mine back on top of it, which ended up being 5 kids. I went from none and having to rebuild my life to 5 children overnight. It was awesome, but it's not easy. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, were you there? Were you there when I took the mic at all at that event?
No. If I wasn't on a panel, I was either outside at a table selling Zeolite Extra and Rainfall, or elsewhere.
Well, I just wanted to give, I showed it yesterday, so I'm not going to show it again, but I took the microphone during, I believe it was like one of the media ones, the panel, and I took the mic, and everyone in the freaking crowd clapped when I said my name, and it was one of the most,
I saw the video of that.
it was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It was awesome. Badlands, it absolutely feels like home. And that's, I'm saying that from a fan's perspective. Like, you walk in there and everybody made you just feel like that was where you're supposed to be. It was awesome.
It was a beautiful thing, man. You know something? I would go so far as to say that it was my favorite GART.
I heard you weren't even there for hardly anything at the last one. Is that the truth?
I don't know where you hear these calumnies, Joe, but
I freaking love you, bro.
the one where I was the least present was Phoenix. So
Yeah.
I brought my lovely bride with me to Phoenix, which was actually Chandler, Arizona, which is basically a suburb of Phoenix.
Yeah.
And the desert air instantly kicked my ass. Like I was napping half the damn time. But then I think the next one was Cocoa Beach. Hey, Cocoa Beach during the summer, if you're inside watching panels when it's summertime and there's a beach, I guess I shouldn't continue that sentence, but I didn't sit inside watching panels. I was floating in the water the whole time. And then ones after that, I'm selling wares and stuff. I'm all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I will say it was awesome to hang out with you and everybody else.
It sure was. Good times.
Yeah, it was cool. So I don't really have an order. This morning was an impromptu show because I was supposed to be at court for the my son. So I'm just kind of going to go through some things, hang out with you. I think it'll be a fun show to just hang out. So
for sure, my friend. And do you have any theories about what's going on in the world? I'd love to talk about that as well.
Well, you probably know my theories.
Possibly.
This one has been kind of like going viral all day. So I want to preempt it before I play it or talk about what everybody's saying with, I have probably looked at Donald Trump as much as anyone, right? I've watched every single speech I had time for. And if I missed some, I typically went back and watched them. I looked for the anomalies that, make my theory look correct, as I'm probably going to get into some of those today. But I will say that I don't think it's absurd to think that a world leader, any world leader, has body doubles. Okay. I'm not talking about cloning. There's a whole nother show, right? We can debate that topic. That's not what I'm talking about right now. What I'm talking about is I think that multiple people represent world leaders at different times. Right. Hillary Clinton took pictures with hers. Saddam Hussein had one that was open. He had multiple ones, right?
Yes.
Watch this. Something just seems a little off, right?
The makeup is very rough. Look at the lower lip.
Okay, so I want to tell you something. Me and Kim went to Lancaster at the airport. It was the one where we were behind Trump, where we were flashing Badlands and everything else on our phones because it was hysterical. This guy that's on screen right now, that's who we saw. I'm not saying that makes it Trump. What I'm saying is the same guy's playing at certain times, but him and I, when we saw him from 20 feet away, we went, wow, why are his lips so white? Why does his neck look so old? Why does he look thinner than usual? And why does he not look 6'3" or whatever he is, 6'1"?
Yeah,
He was short.
I don't know if that's a
That's-
mask. So you have somebody in the chat saying that makeup and mask is so bad. I don't think maybe people put makeup on masks. I guess maybe. I don't see why not. What I'm looking at there is my intuition tells me that's a lot of makeup, a ton of makeup, ass load of makeup. I don't know how tall Elon Musk is, but I'm led to believe he's a pretty tall guy, but I think he's like 6'2". Supposedly Donald Trump is 6'3". I have absolutely no doubt that someone as important as Donald Trump has multiple people playing him. He can be at multiple places at once, and that's kind of non-controversial. It doesn't mean he's a phony or anything.
No,
but yeah, the basic gist is people are saying that's not Donald Trump, and it's not unreasonable to say that that's not Donald Trump. It could very well not be Donald Trump. What I want to know is how do they get a double to do such a great Trump impression and give such a great Trump rally? Because it takes an unusual character to be able to deliver a Trump rally the way Trump delivers them. Do you really think that it's possible to use a double for that activity?
It is a hard thing to try to like put together in your head. I always think back to the Whirlpool speech where he talked about how he had many enemies and it might be the last time we see him for a while.
Yeah, I remember that so well. You keep that clip handy, don't you?
Typically, I could find it.
No, I'm not asking you to. I need to go back and watch that myself because I remember feeling how ominous that was. I have been in the camp of this is all in one way or another misdirecting us from reality. And I've been saying that from the beginning. But the big one for me, a big moment where I bifurcated with the MAGA community in general was on July 13th. On J13, I was sitting in a hotel in Brenham, Texas, as a refugee from Hurricane Beryl. And the first thing I heard was that somebody shot Donald Trump. And my reaction was definitely like my blood went cold. And I got the text from Brian Cates. And Brian Cates texted me pretty much immediately after. And he said, just to let you know, Trump is okay. He bumped his fist in the air 3 times and said, fight, fight, fight. I said, okay, are you sure? He's like, yes, Trump's okay. So once I got past that and I studied the event, I don't believe for a second that was a legitimate assassination attempt.
Thank you.
And I am not in any way off the Trump train. I am Trump to my core. I don't believe it. I don't care. Donald Trump, if you need to do crazy stunts like that in order to accomplish your mission, then freaking more something to your elbow. I don't remember the exact expression, but just do it, man. Yeah. I'm on board, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend that a dude can be allowed by the WNBA B team, which was turned out to be Donald Trump's freaking Secret Service detail. I don't know what that's about. Okay. All right, that's cool. You know, we're gonna have the cast-offs for the WNBA. Not a single one of them tall enough even to cover Donald Trump's head. We're going to have them like fumble around like the Keystone Cops or Reno 911 while we all watch them in horror not protect the president. We're going to watch videos of civilians screaming that, oh my God, there's a dude on this roof with a rifle. If any of that can happen with Donald Trump at the helm of the campaign, if any of that can happen with Donald Trump in charge, then Donald Trump is not the executive we need him to be. Donald Trump has been the target of, assassination for years and years and years. The guy's got his own Secret Service, has had such forever, and he's good at protecting himself. That would never have been Donald Trump's detail. That was a stunt, and nothing will change my mind on that. So let me ask you this about this Q drop number, 2190?
Yes.
All right, so Q drop 2190 is an interesting thing to me because we have Donald Trump. The question is, I want to make sure I understand this correctly because it was very interesting. 9/17/2018, and Anon posts this photo of Donald Trump with his fist in the air. And then Q, you were right all along. Emmys, red carpet, Keck. Where we go one, we go all. One. And then Anon's picked up on the carpet bombs for you and you alone. Fight, fight, fight. Q. What's for us and us alone? Well, I think what's for us and us alone is the ability to know the truth. As Q also said, the ending won't be for everyone. The choice to know will be yours. And it is my choice to know that this assassination attempt was complete bullshit, a stunt performed by patriots, which really moved the needle in his direction in a huge way.
Can I add to that, Patrick?
Yeah.
People, I've said this on the show before for you. People like to use the word staged or stunt, set up, whatever. Okay. That does describe it. However, what I believe we're seeing is, if you refer to the drops, a future proves past. What I think that we watched and why they're okay with doing it would be that we're watching a very controlled presentation of very real events, very real threats. I only think it's logical for us to talk about the fact that Donald Trump has probably had many, many threats on his life.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're watching a show and future proves past, news unlocks the map, then what we're watching, sure, you can call it staged all you want, but that hurts people's feelings because it legitimately motivated in a fifth generation warfare everyone by emotion. I walked out to my driveway, almost started crying before I turned around and went to the drops and said, wait a damn second, right? It took me 5 minutes to turn around, which was probably too fast for the public. I shouldn't have started posting what I was posting so quickly. However, I still stand. I even more so now believe exactly what you're saying. But I think the perception could be taken better by those that are on this level of critical thought process. If you understand that what was presented to us was a controlled, a show of very real threats and events that have happened.
Yeah, that's a very fair characterization, in my opinion. We go back to the Q drop of 2018, where it said, to be blunt, game over. And that was 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, that's 6 years ago.
Yep.
Stormy Patriot Joe called this assassination event. He called it an event. He called it well in advance.
So did I. I predicted it 3 months before. I think he did it before me. After we did a show together about it. Abs's only problem with it is that they used God's name to say that it was God that saved him. I don't have a problem with it because I believe that God's hand is on this whole plan. So we battle a little bit on that. But Joe and I, from the gate, I predicted this.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
no question. It got even more fun for me when Donald Trump showed up at the Republican National Convention wearing an envelope on his ear.
A little mini My Pillow.
and then he took it off a day later, and his ear was utterly uninjured. And then a reporter asked him, "So, Mr. President, there's some questions about your ear. It appears to have absolutely no injury whatsoever." And Donald Trump's like, yeah, I heal quick.
I'm a fast healer.
You got a problem with that, bitch? And what are they going to do, right? You want to call this staged? Go ahead. We gotta we got a contingency plan if you decide to call this staged. And believe me, it's not going to end well for you.
Joe Rogan asked him to. He said, "Can I see your ear?" And he was like, "Yeah, you
What do
know."
you think? Yeah. I heal pretty good, don't I, Joe? You want to say some shit?
That was so funny. Here's your clip. You ready?
Yeah.
A lot of enemies out there. This may be the last time you'll see me for a while. A lot of very, very rich enemies, but they are not happy with what I'm doing. But I figure we have one chance to do it, and no other president's going to do what I do. No other president would do a favored nations, a rebate, a buy from other nations at much less cost. Nobody. A lot of enemies out there. This may be the last time you'll see.
Interesting.
A lot of enemies like there. Maybe that's the last time you'll see me. What does he mean by that? What I want to know is what does Joe say that? What does Stormy Patriot Joe say that he means by that? Because when he said that, it unnerved the shit out of me. Like, oh damn, man, because he was still president at the time, and I was still completely convinced he was going to win 2020 in a landslide.
I got to be honest. I don't know what Joe's opinion is on that clip. I'll have to ask him.
Yeah.
I
should have asked him on the many occasions when I've had the chance to ask him. But you know, we remember. I remember a paragliding guy coming at Trump while Trump was coming at Trump off the water. So I remember this only vaguely. This was back when I used to watch. I used to follow Thomas Wichter on Twitter. So this was early on, 2017, 2018, and Trump was doing some kind of an event. And a dude on a paraglider, not an assassination attempt, a protester who, I don't know, slipped past goalie or something like that. And people made fun of Donald Trump because Donald Trump quickly retreated indoors when he saw the guy coming in. People called him a coward, et cetera, et cetera. And Thomas Wichter pointed out, the reason that Donald Trump quickly went indoors is because he didn't want the Secret Service to very publicly shoot this guy to ribbons, which they would do if he didn't move quickly. That's real Secret Service protocols. So when I watch this stunt of the supposed assassination attempt, none of that makes any sense. It's all bullshit. It can't be real.
I love that you're tact. Right? Stormy Patriot Joe's brilliant, and he explains it, and then he kind of just says okay at the end, and he lets you make your own. And Patrick's like, "This is what I believe," and you're gonna. I love that.
I'm a vocal flat earther and germ theory denier. All care about whether or not I offend people has gone out the window a long time ago.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna skip. I think we should just. I think I'm having fun with you. If you remember, the last time it was just you and I hanging out, I ran through some old clips. Okay, old clips that I believe confirm what I believe. And to be honest with you, what I believe is that Q and devolution are synonymous. I believe that one proves the other. If you read the Q drops the way that I understand them, they kind of insinuate that there's a process like devolution in place. If you listen to Donald Trump's words, it confirms both Q and I can't tell you how many times what Donald Trump says makes it feel like devolution theory is 100% accurate to me. Okay. And I actually challenged John, Devolution Power Hour live last
I was
weekend.
there.
Oh, you saw that part? And John kind of blew it off.
I was on stage.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know.
I'm one of the four guys in the show. And I remember it was a Donald Trump clip. And you could play the clip, but it was Donald Trump. And I actually had a different take on it than you. So we could probably get a little more granular.
Okay, good.
You have the clip played up.
Yep.
I think we can go over it.
All right. Now, I'm going to tell everybody the word that I hear in this that is most important is the. The insinuation is that when you're the president, you don't typically get more votes than the time before. That is the way I hear it. I would love to hear what you say, Patrick.
Okay, I remember.
Very nice gathering. Isn't it nice to win? It's nice to win. It's always nice to win. A lot of good friends in this room. So you know we had like historic kind of numbers, especially for the president, but we won't get into that. But the House
Come
did very
on,
well,
I
and
can't
I
hear
think
it
we're
any other
responsible
way.
for 31.
All right.
Help.
So here's how I hear it, okay? Especially for the president. He said exactly the words that you heard. I heard the same words. But when he says we've had historic numbers, especially for the president, I don't see it as he's declaring himself, I've been the president the whole time. I see it as he's saying the president got more votes than down ballot, but we won't talk about that. What he was saying was the president got way more votes, and that is indicative of massive fraud. And we're going to get to that in a little while.
We got somebody that jumped in. I leave an open door policy for certain people. Stormy Patriot Joe, Absolute, and Dave always have an open door to come in. So here's Dave. What's up, brother?
What's going on, gentlemen? How are you?
Well,
good, Dave. Did you see that? Did you watch that clip just now?
I just popped in. I was
Okay.
actually on a call up until now.
We should play it again.
All right. It's the one that I played. It's the one that I shot to John at the Devolution Power Hour. The president, right?
Mhm.
So hold on. Let's start it over here. Ready?
Okay. Yep.
Very nice.
Wait, hold on. I want you guys to both take notes because I put together about 20 of these. So we can what I believe is going to happen, just so you guys are aware, what I believe is going to happen is you're going to be able to say this is what Donald Trump might have also meant for maybe 3 or 4 or 5 of them. But when I show you 20, I don't believe that you can any longer spin what he's saying. Okay. So here it is, Dave.
Nice gathering. Isn't it nice to win? It's nice to win. It's always nice to win. A lot of good friends in this room. So you know we had like historic kind of numbers, especially for the president, but we won't get into that. But the House did very well, and I think we're responsible for 31, helping you with 31.
Okay.
Meaning we could.
Yeah, the rest is, I believe the rest is comms, but it's not important for this conversation.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So Dave, what I took from that is that Donald Trump was saying the presidential race, I got way more than the down ballot races, which is indicative of fraud. I think that's what he was implying. And then he said, but we won't talk about that. And I'm glad he won't talk about that because he can't really do much about it until he's inaugurated. That's just the way I interpreted that.
Well, I think on the surface, you're right. I mean, what I always look at, and it's a difficult question to throw in a vacuum because I think it's kind of I put that into the same category with, you know, all the 17s we pull out of everything, right? Like you can say, well, it's a coincidence until you start seeing that, you know, half the bills that they've passed over the last 3 years have a 17 thrown into it, and all these different statistics do. And, you know, one on its own, you could kind of discount away. I don't know. I look at that and I think Rambo makes a good point in that, yeah, it's a surface thing, but it's his facial language. It's the way he's saying it. It's, you know, I think it's like everything else. I think he's trying to tell you something more than what it is. And I say that not because of really just the one clip, but because of all the other messaging he's given us, you know, kind of in my second term, and will I be a 3-term president, and all these other things. Yeah. And again, it's the same thing with the 17s. Like, oh, it's coincidence until you see, you know, back at the State of the Union, Joe Biden walks in the door exactly at 9:17, and he gives a speech that's an hour and 7 minutes long, and the Republican rebuttal is 17 minutes long. So one on its own is a coincidence. When you're watching the stringer of them, I think maybe there's something more. So I kind of think you're both right here. Honestly, I'm not trying to toe a line. I think that's you, Patrick. I think what you're saying is definitely the message that is the surface message. And then I watch his body language and what he says, and I'm like, I think he's also throwing this into the category of all the things that Rambo points out all the time with all his video clips. I kind of think it's both.
Dude, I can see where you're coming from in that as well. Joe, your interpretation though, you said it was him declaring himself having been the president the whole time, right?
What I hear is yes. Well, let me say this. I think you were right. Let me just say this quick before you finish that statement. You're right. Donald Trump has a brilliant artistic way of speaking out of both sides of his mouth, sometimes to 3, 4, and 5 audiences at one time. So when Donald Trump talks, and I show these clips tons of times, people are like, you're stretching, you're reaching. This is really what he meant, type of thing. The problem is I have a very visual learning process. And when I see video clips and he says things that I find out of the ordinary, my brain stores them and I don't forget them, no matter what shiny thing comes up in the news. So when the drops correlate with what Trump says, which correlates with devolution, it's a big, bright highlighter mark for me. And I have them all saved. So when you start watching them all together, it becomes a little bit less undeniable, a little bit more undeniable. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
I see where you're coming from. I guess
Okay.
you're talking to Dave.
No.
I go ahead, Patrick. I want you to finish.
I agree. Taken in its totality, Trump keeps telling us that he's been president for 3 straight. He's going into his 3rd term. He's referred to it as his kind of 2nd term. We just didn't want the results of it. And I think a good plan would have to include a presidency in exile, so to speak. But I don't take that one quotation as being dispositive of anything.
Agreed. All right, let's keep going then. Well, this one, I believe you guys have both seen. Everybody's seen it, but I think that it's a good jumping off point to get into the rest of them. I think we have to play it.
That this man joins us in this very room today, and to be able to deliver to him our President Richard M. Nixon Award, named after the club's greatest alumnus, President Nixon, who in fact predicted President Trump's ascendancy to the White House 40 years ago. Under my leadership, the New York Young Republican Club will forever be a vanguard of the Trump movement in this city. We will be unrelenting in our pursuit of the America First agenda, and together we will make America great once more. Now, ladies and gentlemen, get on your feet and give a loud, warm New York welcome to our hometown hero, the 45th, the 46th, and the 47th President of the United States, President Donald John Trump.
All right. So
who is that guy? I know his name.
His name is Gavin Wax.
I remember him. Yeah.
He's the president of the New York Young Republican Club.
Oh, bro. That guy's based.
Completely.
Yes. I know him because I want to tell you a side story, which will relate to some things I think we've been talking about. We've all speculated for a long time, right, that there are certain people placed within certain organizations and camps that are perhaps responsible for guiding people who are helping an awakening. Maybe I'll leave it at that. I was actually a member of the New York Young Republicans Club until like last year when I moved. I went with all of them to CPAC. Great group of people. What's interesting, and they have a clubhouse in New York City, and they have a happy hour like once a month. And it's very interesting that for the last, I think I started there, or really get involved in there in like 2019 to 2020. For the last however many years, there's been a person that's been present in almost every one of their meetings hanging out. And he's not from New York, he's from Florida, and that would be Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz was basically embedded with the New York Young Republicans Club for the last 3 years. He was even with all of us when we went to Orlando in 2021 at CPAC. And it never in the beginning made sense to me why this Florida senator is there at all these meetings in New York. And now that I think we know a little bit more about what's going on over the last 3 years, I don't connect those dots. So would Gavin probably know what some of what we know? Yeah, I would bet if I had to guess.
Well, let me show you Trump's reaction, because first of all, that was Trump's entrance, right? He was introduced. He walked on the stage. He shook Gavin Wax's hand. They spoke privately on stage. Donald Trump took the lectern and spoke and started speaking. And this was all he had to say about it. There was in no way, shape, or form did he acknowledge. And it was 3 times at that event that this happened. He was announced by the announcer twice that way earlier on. It was like a 12-hour event, right? And then Gavin Wax literally introduced him that way as he took the stage. And this was just a small excerpt of what Donald Trump said that night.
24. Doesn't it sound good? Now it's happening. It's happening. We shouldn't have had to wait this long, but things like that happen. A bunch of cheaters. They are cheaters like nobody's ever cheated before. Third world country. But now the time is here, and we're going to do it. We're going to do it right, and we're going to find out what happened then. But more importantly, we're going to take our country to new levels that nobody would have thought possible when you're looking at what's happened today. Let me especially thank your president, Gavin Wax. Gavin, that was an excellent speech. That was an excellent speech. Wow. 24.
There's something to be said to that.
There is indeed. He's pointing out the speech that called him the 45th, 46th, and 47th. There's no, oh, Gavin, by the way, I'm obviously not the 46th president. That's Sleepy Joe. Nope, none of that. Just we know what we know. And it's pretty, that's a really compelling argument, in my opinion.
I'm going to keep right on going. You ready?
I'm ready.
Let's do this one next. At some point, somebody has to look at these all at the same time. Somebody has to. Because you can get called crazy for watching one all you want, but there's about 100.
And something a lot of people didn't think was going to happen. Wages are rising at the fastest pace in over a decade. We're cutting record numbers of regulations. We've cut more regulations in a year and a quarter than any administration, whether it's 4 years, 8 years, or in one case, 16 years. Should we go back to 16 years? Should we do that? Congressman, can we have that extended? The last time I jokingly said that, the papers started saying, he's got despotic tendencies. No, I'm not looking to do it. Unless you want to do it, that's okay. And something a lot of people didn't.
Do you remember that commercial that he made with himself being Trump forever?
Yep.
That was the best one.
Oh, I got more. So far, is it starting to like a lot of times when I do this, I'm mostly trying to get somebody to tell me I'm not crazy. Right?
Yeah. Well, you're among your fellow lunatics right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Fact is that we have been perceived as crazy for a while, but we're getting less and less crazy by comparison to the rest of the world. Remember, we've got Chunk Yogurt out there officially collaborating with Donald Trump and Elon Musk to try to shut down the war machine.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Hey, hit that thumbs up, y'all. Let's set some records here tonight.
Yeah, F the haters.
Rambo, did you happen to see? I don't want to jump ahead of what you're trying to do here, but I think it relates because I actually was just talking to Paul about this. I was talking to Abs about this right before we came on. Like, did you notice today that all of a sudden X has started to figure out that might not be the real Donald Trump we're looking at every time? Did you happen to catch on?
Yeah. We did that before you got here.
Okay.
Yes. No, but you're right.
Well, but I think it relates, and I don't even like getting into that conversation because it does distract from what we're all trying to do. But in the context of what you're doing here, it relates, right?
How old is Donald Trump? 70, 78?
78,
How old is he?
I believe. 78, I believe.
Logically, do we believe that a 70-year-old man could fly on 4 different planes and do 4 different rallies every day leading up to it, and then post on Twitter and Truth Social all night long? It's just something. There's obviously a team, and it would only make sense to me logically that a world leader of his status would have someone else that would be helping. I don't know how he does such a good job at rallies every time, because whether it's the real one or it's not, he's killing it at rallies.
Every
thousands of people.
Now,
Right.
one thing we can count on is Donald Trump is not going to have two Donald Trumps doing two rallies at the same time, because that even the normies would figure out. But is there a possibility that it's a different dude doing rallies? Dang, man. If that's the case, I would need somebody to just sit me down, of course, on a Zoom meeting or on StreamYard, and say, all right, look, here's how I know this.
Yeah.
Because it's the same voice, it's the same cadence, it's that same attitude. If it is a separate dude, it's the best impressionist who's ever lived.
I will say this on the flip side. If it's all Donald Trump, he's a damn superhero.
Well, yeah. I think of him as a superhero already. I had to watch him shake like 900 West Point graduates' hands while standing up in the heat, dude. I can't do that. I'm way younger than him. And I'm in okay shape. And I couldn't do that. I'd be like, no, I need an IV. Are you people crazy? But he did it right in front of us.
And the reason I brought it up was not even so much to debate whether or not that's the case, although it's a fun conversation. But I think what I was getting at, I seem to notice these patterns. I mean, we're all pattern recognition specialists, not conspiracy theorists.
Right.
And to me, I really seem to notice. Look, we know X is the most important weapon ever for an information war, so it's obvious that that's what's being used the most. And you seem to see, like, all of a sudden you see something take traction, right? It's something that we've been talking about for such a long time. Just the notion of there being a Trump body double. Doesn't matter whether he does the rallies or not. There's the one dude, that the golfing guy, he's skinny, like, okay. But all of a sudden it's like, why now is everyone, I got like 3 texts from normies about it. And I see all these different X accounts that are just good truth accounts, right? They're not anon accounts. They're truth accounts. They're trying, and all of a sudden they're all talking about it. I'll give you one more. Patrick Bet David. I posted about this today. I'll probably talk about it more tonight on our show. But in June, he came out and did an entire 45-minute segment with his panel. Patrick Bet David, who was in the Army, who's pretty closely connected to Trump, on his podcast did a show about, is Joe Biden wearing a mask? And they showed we've all seen that video of the CIA chief of disguise when she sat with Bush Sr. and she took the mask off, and right? They showed that. And the panel reached the conclusion that that's not Joe Biden. And this was in June. And then that set X ablaze, right?
We're talking about Patrick Bet David and his group of normies.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, it's on my X account. I posted about it. It was June. I'll give you the date. It was June 13th. I can give you the exact date. It was June 13th that I put that up. And then from there, we got this big conversation on X, like another bump. All of a sudden, it kind of started to normalize it. Now you go back 2 weeks ago, and what did Patrick Bet David do? He had on Jim Jordan. And he showed Jim Jordan the George Bush funeral envelope video that we've all been looking at. And he asked Jim Jordan, what is this about? And Jim Jordan goes, I don't know. I've never seen that before.
My gosh, I just never heard of
Right.
envelopes.
I have no idea. And now
concussion.
Just yesterday, it's going around now. I put it up on my X account. A few people have been circulated this morning. He's talking about how upset Joe Biden is and they're panicking, and that he's hearing rumors that because they're all worried that their crimes are about to be exposed, people are going to start committing suicide. That's exactly what his words, not mine. It's exactly what he said. So yeah, I think it's what my point is. It's all connected. I feel like the stuff Rambo is showing here, which we all know to be true, it's like there's somebody else behind the scenes that is starting to say, okay, let's start trickling this stuff. Let's start sprinkling the stuff that everyone called Patrick and Rambo and Dave crazy for over the last 3 years, 4 years. Let's start sprinkling it in and slowly start to acclimate some other people to it. And that's kind of what I feel like.
He's been voted for now.
Right.
He's in the seat. He's president-elect. So there's no more like, you're going to make people not vote because someone's coming to save you. No, Donald Trump's already in office now. So to have these conversations gains a whole lot more freedom than before, right? Yeah. General Flynn would probably not be happy that I show a video. The next one I'm going to show, right?
Oh, I can't wait.
Wait, well, this one has to do with what you're talking about. This one has to do with what you're talking about.
Hey, your job. By the way, it's not Biden. It's not Biden. It's his masters. They tell him what to do. His masters. Hey, your job. By the way, it's not Biden.
First of all, only an alpha male of Donald Trump's status can go like that and have it be masculine.
Right.
When I do it, it looks queer. It looks quite queer. When Donald Trump does it, he just looks like a badass. You know, I've been thinking about this, right? So you've got Joe Biden, you know, at certain points showing up with a nutsack on his chin, and you know, Blinken standing there in the background like a deer in headlights. And I have a little bit of a theory about what might be going on. And it's very general, so don't get your hopes up for what I'm going for here. But I am also tangentially very much associated with the medical freedom movement, as you know, because I play in the viruses don't exist space. Now, being close to those people, I know them personally. They're pretty much off the Trump train as of Operation Warp Speed. I don't even need to explain why. Everybody knows. It's not that they don't vote for Trump, because they will. They voted for Trump, and when Trump won, they were happy. Nevertheless, they don't have any great love for Trump because of Operation Warp Speed. But just recently, Owen Benjamin, of whom I am a big fan, but he's been off the Trump train for a long time himself, like longer than most. And he said, you know something? Reading this tweet from Trump recently, still bragging about Operation Warp Speed, it's actually getting hilarious, kind of endearing, and honestly a little brilliant. Is it possible that Trump has been doing this entire time to expose the entire system as utterly fake and designed to keep them domesticated, and that he is making it as clownish and ridiculous as possible to coax the masses into a state of actual independence from the system?
Yeah.
What's been going on this entire time? The choice to know will be yours. Is the choice to say, no, I am going to choose to make myself strong enough to function a little bit, at least, outside of the system? That may be what's going on. And other aspects of that could be, okay, I'm going to put Joe Biden out there with a nutsack on his chin, and I'm going to have some really sloppy doubles of myself out there standing next to Elon Musk. Just throwing an idea out there.
I think we've spoken about this before. I think you're, as usual, Patrick, I think you're 100% right. Because what I see with so many of these different things is so much of the stuff that even we just laugh about, I absolutely think there is a very brilliant design behind it. We obviously, whoever is running all this, they understand human psychology better than anybody on the planet. And the one kind of overarching change that I've seen in the normies, I'd say especially over like the last 6 months, like probably going back to just the beginning of the summer, is, I think, to your point, Patrick, they've made so many things so clownish, so bizarre, that is another tool being used to break that mass formation that so many people are living under. And what I found is the few times I've kind of been around those, you know, what I call them maybe like the Alex Jones normies, where you're sitting at a bar and somebody's railing on about the new world order and how we've been lied to, and you know how these people are trying to kill us. And then if you kind of start asking questions like, hey, does that still look like Joe Biden to you, or some of these other things? I don't want to say that obviously they're not quick to jump on board and go full Q, but I can tell you right now, versus like a year ago or 2 years ago, it's almost like almost every time they're willing to listen, because I think exactly because of what you're saying. when you make the entire mainstream narrative so ridiculously, I call it cartoonish. That's been the word I've been using. It looks like we're watching cartoons. I think subconsciously people's minds get so scrambled that they kind of are resigned to, let me listen to anybody else, because what I'm seeing right now is an absolute clown show. I absolutely think you're right. I think, and that's part of the design of it.
Well, hold on. Let me add this, and maybe I'm just reiterating what you already said, Patrick, in a different way. I believe we're being given a lesson in critical thought. I believe that we're being given a gift of discernment. They're showing it, just like you said, at such a clown level that it's becoming hard not to see. Just like you said, Dave, for people that couldn't possibly see it before. I don't like using the word ascension because certain negative connotations come with it.
Right.
But at the same time, it also kind of makes sense. Fifth generation warfare was exposed in a way that allows you to start to understand that your belief system shouldn't be tied emotionally, but more on a critical thought level. So if we can start to look at things and have conversations with removing the emotion, we can get back to having respectful, loving debates on the issues. We can get back to looking at the information being presented to us, and instead of taking it as truth, questioning it and coming to our own conclusions, and then having those respectful, loving debates. This is literally the ascension of the human race. Like, we are the Great Awakening is literally teaching us. It's breaking us free of the slavery we were being put under by the mainstream media. It's unbelievable. Go ahead.
You know, and speaking of awakenings, Joe, we're seeing like hardcore lefties hop on the Trump train right in front of us. It wasn't just Cenk Uygur. It's Dennis Kucinich. Now, Dennis Kucinich has kind of been populist adjacent for a very long time himself, but you always thought of him as being a super far lefty. But that's never what he was. He was just a liberal who didn't think it was okay for the government to shit all over the Bill of Rights. And we were so brainwashed I was so brainwashed, at least for so long, that I just saw being against the military industrial complex as being a far left lunatic. But we've got Kucinich out there saying Donald Trump is actually looking out for the people, and NATO and clown world are not. Cenk Uygur is going up there saying, look, nobody has ever asked me what I thought about how to dismantle the military industrial complex until Elon here. And I've got everybody on my own side telling me, don't work with these people. Dude, I'm going to work with whoever's going to help us stop going to forever war. It's freaking surreal to watch this happening in real time. So I just keep saying to myself, oh my God, baby steps. Baby step to January 20th. Can we get to January 20th? What crazy shit are these people going to pull between now and January 20th? And that's what keeps me up at night.
All of us. Well, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question about both you guys. So I noticed all that too. And you look at some of these names. First of all, wasn't Kucinich wasn't he the one, Rambo, that slipped up on CNN and talked about McCain the day after?
No, that's John Kasich.
Kasich. Thank you. I'm screwing them up. Okay, thank you. But when I see this coordinated, so something else I've been noticing, which goes in line with what you're saying, right? All of a sudden, and I don't know, maybe I've been in the rabbit hole too long, but this is just the way I see it. You know, I talked about, Patrick, I think it was with you actually. I don't remember, but it was not too soon after that MSG rally, and I was talking about how a place like New York City, you know, if you've ever lived in an urban area, you know it's very trend oriented. Like whatever everyone starts doing, like the Yankees are winning, everyone's a Yankee fan, right? Trump's in town, all of a sudden it's okay to like Trump. And I said, I think you're going to start to see a narrative shift where it's slowly, you see people flip and it starts to become like cool again. Well, sure enough. And when it's coordinated like this is where I start to question it. Trump goes to Madison Square Garden this past weekend to the UFC fight. Cue the NFL the next day. In the NFL, every guy doing a touchdown is doing the Trump dance. And then Monday, and then everyone. And then, but we notice it. And then you say, all right, let's watch and see if we get what I call the confirmation from the white hat media The next day, all day on Fox News and Newsmax, what are they showing? Montages of guys in the NFL doing the Trump dance. Like, look at this. It's safe to come out and support Trump again.
Yeah.
And so I guess what I'd love to hear from you guys is the way I look at this. When I see stuff like that, I don't think it's an accident. When it gets amplified by the same Jesse Waters and Greg Gutfeld and Greg Kelly, I don't think it's an accident. And when I see guys like you just highlighted suddenly coming out, and it's big enough names that not only we all take notice, but the rest of social media does and says, oh, look at this. I start to wonder how much of that is organic and how much of that is Forpog pulling the strings to help shift mass consciousness.
And for those of you who don't know, Forpog is the Fourth Psychological Operations Group, the people who made the Ghosts in the Machine video.
Right.
I just assume everything is fake, meaning I just assume everything is orchestrated.
Right.
The NFL is a spigot of information that can be controlled completely. When I watched them kneeling for the national anthem en masse, all at once, my first reaction was, fuck these guys. The fact that like it was this just 1 in 200 of them that would say, no, I'm going to continue to stand for the anthem. The rest of them, whatever their paychecks told them to do, they would do, which means they're controllable. And they're very, very powerful because no matter how patriotic most people are, if they don't get their regular injection of watching men in helmets destroy each other's kneecaps, they go into some kind of crazy withdrawal. It was the weirdest thing because I never gave a fuck about football. Oh, congrats. Yeah, I'm sure that you will live to be 47. But it was like a drug to these people. It was very interesting to see it happen, to see these people go into withdrawal. Like Brian Cates. I idolized Brian Cates. And they were kneeling and they were declaring they were saying, oh, it's because police brutality against the blacks, et cetera, et cetera. Brian was like, yeah, maybe I'll boycott them, but maybe not. Come on, guys, please don't do this to me. Let me watch my fucking football, please. But anyway, I digress. It is a spigot of information that can be controlled, as is Hollywood. And when these things get taken over, they can turn on a dime instantly. And that's what we're seeing right now. So my hope is that what we are seeing is actual revelation of white hats being in control by the switches being flipped on those particular aspects of the control panel of information.
Look, when we mention Forpog, we also have to mention 8Pog. So there's an 8th PSYOP group as well. I don't know if there's a parallel between 4chan and 8chan, but I'm just saying. Second of all,
it's probably nothing.
It's probably nothing. So I look at the messaging that we're getting with the Donald Trump dance from football players. There was an Argentinian, I think. There was some foreign soccer player that was doing it. It was on TV. Do you know what it reminded me of? The exact opposite of football players falling over, soccer players falling over because they have heart problems from the vaccine. Amplified messaging. And then Dan Scavino puts a post up. Post your favorite Trump dance. Give me 10 seconds so I can make a montage. It's being amplified everywhere. It is literally amplified messaging, fifth generation warfare 101.
Yeah.
They're pumping us full of it.
And we talk about this all the time. If you want a very easy way to track this stuff, get up in the morning, go on X, look at what is being forced into your feed, right? So if you got up on Monday morning, your feed was being flooded with all these people talking about people in the NFL and UFC doing the dance. They let it marinate there all day. And then all you got to do is starting at 5 o'clock, turn on Fox News and watch. And you will see it goes from in my opinion, it goes from Forpog to X to Fox to Newsmax, Forpog to X to Fox Newsmax, over and over and over and over again.
Speaking of Newsmax, one of the biggest shocks to my nervous system was right after the stolen election, when I swore by all that was holy in this world that I would never watch Fox News again. So what am I going to watch on television now? And I discovered Newsmax, and oh my gosh, they were so based in red. Oh no, they're not. They're just corporate shills too. And it just makes you feel this sense of being overwhelmed with the power of the enemy to control all the spigots of information like this. So to see them kind of flipping one by one domino style, I don't know, man. It's like it's analogous to the One Ring falling into Mount Doom, and all of a sudden, all of the orcs just turning to dust right in front of us.
Patrick, look, I know that this isn't a popular opinion, but you are the one that brought up the drop earlier about it being Patriots in control. What was the drop you brought up about it being done? I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's been done since 2017. If you're going to have an information war and run an operation like we've seen, it would only be logical, at least in my opinion, that the information was controlled throughout this process. There's no way you could win this operation without it. So when we're now seeing Morning Hose going to visit Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago and
So
literally
weird, man.
full destruction of the mainstream media as he's coming into office, we are the news now. I can't, it's fully coordinated. It is
Rambo,
fully coordinated.
I'm actually glad that Patrick brought up Newsmax, because I did the same thing. I was like a swore off Fox News. Again, now I watch it just to see what the narrative is, and they throw out comms like every other hour. But yeah, I did the same thing, and then went to Newsmax, and yeah, it was this like helpless feeling of like, oh my God, they're all controlled. But I want to show you some Rambo. I sent it to you in the private chat. This was 2021. It was actually Newsmax. It was this clip in 2021 that actually got me to really start to understand that we controlled the media back then. When I watched this video, and I watched the worst acting job I've ever seen. Watch this. Let this run.
Can I ask our producers, can we get out of here, please? I don't want to have to keep going over this. We at
Actually,
Newsmax have not been able to verify any of those allegations that you're
Mike, hold on a second. Everybody hold on a second. Mike, hold on 1 second. Let's talk a little bit about just what is happening overall.
You could kill it there.
But I don't understand.
That's the shorter version. The narrative was, this is when Lindell was going around trying to show everybody his absolute proof and all the foreign incursions on the machine from like Leonardo and all those companies in Italy. And he was going around doing press. And this was, I think they had just dropped the Dominion lawsuit on Newsmax. I don't remember. But what was happening is Lindell started talking about it. And that dude in the middle, I forget his name, literally got up and left the set as if he was so upset that Lindell was talking about election fraud. And it was that moment, that was my media red pill moment where I go, holy shit, they're acting. No way in a million years you're going to get up and walk off the set in the middle of an interview. It was that moment that snapped the matrix. And from there on out, I go, oh my God, I think we do have some control over the media. And it's obviously gotten.
I didn't see that at the time.
Yeah.
I didn't see it at the time. I don't. So what you're okay? Let me try to understand what you're saying. Greg, who's that? Greg, what's his name?
Kelly.
Thank you, Greg Kelly. I swear to you, I've never seen that guy's face before in my life. All right, I know this sounds crazy. I didn't watch that. So he's pissed off because.
Well, I'm sorry. That dude's not Greg Kelly. Greg Kelly's the 10 o'clock guy. I'm sorry. I don't remember what his name is.
I don't remember his name either. You're right, though. That's not Greg, but it was another Newsmax guy at the time.
Some schmuck who is working for Newsmax is just so incensed that famous election fraud claimer Mike Lindell, who is on their show, flips out and just storms off because Lindell is talking too much about election fraud.
That's what they want you to believe. Yeah.
So, all right. So, I was going to play devil's advocate. Why couldn't this guy just be a scumbag who genuinely doesn't think that it's okay to talk about election fraud on Newsmax?
Okay, let me answer your question with a question. Have you ever seen that happen on a news broadcast in your life?
Yes.
You've seen an anchor walk off?
Yes.
Okay.
I
His
believe
name,
that it's
no, not an anchor, but I recently watched Hugh Hewitt storm off recently when this homosexual queermo was harassing him about something, like Washington Post or something. Hugh Hewitt storms off of like C-SPAN or MSNBC or one of the networks or CNN. Anyway, I did watch that happen, but
Okay.
regardless of whether I've seen it happen or not,
Yeah.
the guy storms off, and I've never seen that before other than Hugh Hewitt. So what do you take from the fact that it is either unique or rare for such a thing to happen?
I took and I take it now the same way I took it back then. I said this is just, it's not even believable. They are trying to make it look like these anchors and this news station wants nothing to do with talking about election fraud. I took it, I'm like, they're overselling it. This guy walks off the stage.
let me
Like,
let me
literally
let me add
gets up.
something.
Go ahead.
I want to add something to this. I believe that we've all been influenced by FORPOG in some way, shape, or form on both sides. I believe that you don't necessarily have to sit in a backroom meeting and talk to some federal agent and be told what to say to be a talking head of something they want projected. We're all influenced in some way, shape, or form by the information being given to us. Do I think that you're right, that could potentially be an actor? Yes, it's very potential. There's a lot of potential to it. However, do I think that guy has been influenced by potentially by some other people that have convinced him that there was no election fraud, the machines, Dominion lawsuits or whatever might be coming down on them? Also very possible. My question that I always ask myself when I'm being presented with information is something I stole from Awakened Outlaw. How does this make me feel? Right? So emotions make you blind. So if something you're being presented with makes you angry or motivates you or upsets you or makes you sad, the mere moment of taking a step back and saying, how does this make me feel and why, allows for critical thought to enter the process. In which case, I do think that whether that person was doing it intentionally and acting or not, I am able to now discern the information being presented to me. Does that make sense?
You bet it does. How any clip makes me feel, my first goal is to not feel that thing. It's like, I don't want to, okay, I know how it's trying to make me feel, and I'm going to ignore that emotion for now. And now I want to think, okay, why would this clip be trying to make me feel that way? Every time I feel a rush of rage, not every time, but most times, a lot of times, as often as I can muster it, I don't flip out and get angry. I say, okay, this clip is there for the purpose of eliciting that response. Why would they be doing that?
Right.
Okay. Yep. Is that a good guy thing? Are they trying to get me mad to go do something good? Or are they trying to get me mad to go do something stupid? And that's kind of how I operate most of the time. For example, if there's a big abortion thing, okay, they're trying to make it so that we can murder babies all the way up to 40 weeks. Okay, are they really trying to do that? Maybe. But they're definitely trying to piss me off. Why? That's kind of how I operate in general.
I want to add two things to that before we move on. Just two other questions that kind of on that particular clip. Rambo, you're obviously the producer of this show, right? You control our feeds. So if I start going off the rails and doing something,
yeah, I would take it up.
You're going to pull me off the show, right?
Correct.
You're not going to leave me on the screen and you walk off the show.
I agree with you.
Right. Yep. So I always question with that. Why did the director not cut Lindell off like they do everywhere else? And then why did the director leave the chair sitting there spinning, which is an optical kind of clown world, looks stupid? That's where I come from that. But I also think both you guys are right. It's the emotional response in the moment. I also personally believe that something like that, if it was done with somebody's hand on the script, so to speak, I think there's a secondary reason. And I think a lot of what they've made the liberal media do over the last few years is also going to be used down the road. And we have seen the Trump team and the digital army do an amazing job of putting these montages together of the media making fools of themselves, right? You can now go back and watch a 10-minute video of every mainstream media person lying to you about Russiagate, lying to you about the Ukraine hoax, lying to you about COVID, right? So something as small as that with a lot of other things, I believe that's going to come back around as 2020 starts to get exposed. We're going to start getting flooded with these montage videos of all these shills in the media refusing to talk about it. And so I think there's probably a second purpose to some of this stuff, because we've seen that over and over. It's almost like they chambered the guns and didn't fire it yet. They have all these clips ready. They have these people saying all these ridiculous things. And then when the narrative comes back around, when the boomerang comes, then you can show all the normies will be looking at these montages going, oh my God, look at how these assholes cut everybody off. Look at how they lied about 59 cases not going to court. Look at how they. And so I almost think some of it is going to be used down the road, because we've seen it happen before.
I think your logic is based. They have definitely flipped everything on its head. Election integrity being one of the main topics. I don't mean to switch on, but for time's sake, I want to give Patrick a moment. I have another clip that'll lead right back into conversation, but we're an hour and 15 in. I'm not sure if we have, what do we have? Maybe 40 minutes left of Patrick's time. Patrick, do you want to talk about your new product quick, and I'll show the tulip blooms as well?
Yeah, actually, not tulip blooms. EpicMinerals.net is the new product. It's not that new, but it's new to this audience for the most part. When I was at GART in Myrtle Beach, I sat down with David Becker's wife, Carrie, and she told me something that just warmed my heart. Epic Minerals Wellness Extra capsules have changed her life, and they've changed a lot of people's lives. The Epic Minerals Wellness Extra capsules consist of some amazing stuff: humic and fulvic acid, N-acetyl-L-cysteine, also known as NAC, vitamin D, and a combination of trace minerals that have a clarifying brain effect, that have a detoxifying effect, that make you well, and that give you tons and tons of energy. When I first spoke to the people who make these for me, they told me that when they would give them out as samples at grocery stores, people would instantly buy them because they would be feeling good by the end of their shop. And this is the case right now at epicminerals.net. You take 2 of these in the morning. You take 2 of these in the afternoon. It's almost like, not as strong, but it's almost like a natural Adderall feeling that you get. It focuses you. It gets you ready for the day. Carrie Becker, for example, says she can complete tasks every single time now. This stuff is changing lives. So go to epicminerals.net. That's epicminerals.net. Make sure to use promo code Rambo. That's promo code Rambo. That gets you 10% off. And every time you use that promo code Rambo, guess what? 25% of that sale goes over into an account accessible by Joe Rambo himself for the purpose of being able to do this full time. Don't you want that, guys? So go to epicminerals.net, use promo code Rambo, and get the Epic Minerals Wellness Extra capsules. And if you spend more than $150, you get free shipping too. epicminerals.net, promo code Rambo.
Rambo. I love that. Let me say quick too, before I go into this next clip, which I'm dying to see how either one of you could spin it. Hold on. Let's just do this. You guys are well up over 340 likes on Rumble. If you guys could hit that positive affirmation button, kill the haters we talked about earlier that think we're purchasing things over here. We have hit the leaderboard every single show for the last 3 months because you guys are so active. So please do me a favor. It's the one thing that means the absolute most to me. Hit that positive affirmation button. Get more eyes on the show. Get more people involved in the Rambo and Frens family. And I appreciate you. Thank you very much. So I want to see how anyone can spin this. Okay. This is a mic drop moment for me. This is one that doesn't necessarily tell us exactly what's happening. However, I don't know how it can be spun any other way than what he's saying. Listen to this.
Joe, and I always remember that. It was a long time ago, 20, 25 years ago, long prior to his death, actually. But
He said, probably Joe. Who's Joe? Joe Biden. So this is what we have. And now he's our president. And now he's our president at a reduced level. Okay, at a reduced level. You know, we're dealing with the most complex and most powerful weapons in the world. And we have a man that has no idea what he's doing. And you'll end up in World War III. I'm the only one that can promise you that we will not end up in World War III. There's not going to be world wars, not with me. There's not going to be world wars. And we do that through strength, not through weakness.
Reduced level. Is he talking about his health? Because that is certainly not what it sounded like.
What did he begin that speech with? Prior to his what?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to hear.
No, and I always remember that. That was a long time ago, 20, 25 years ago.
Hold on. I'll go all the way back.
To his death. Joe, and I always remember that. That was a long time ago, 20, 25 years ago. Long prior to his death, actually. But
What?
He said, probably Joe.
Who is he talking about?
Now I'm going to have to go back and watch this whole speech because that's where the clip starts. Hold on. I'm going to listen again.
Joe, and I always remember that. That was a long time ago, 20, 25 years ago. Long prior to his death, actually. But
it has to be a different dude. He's talking about dead Joe Biden.
This is what we have. And now he's our president. And now he's our president at a reduced level. Okay, at a reduced level.
All right. I will be right after this show going back to watch this whole clip because this is the only clip I have from it right now.
Now, the other thing, at a reduced level, that's some intense stuff. Because the whole concept of devolution wasn't Trump is still in charge.
Right.
It's not devolution. Devolution says, all right, we know that they are engaged in massive criminality to steal an election. We also know that if we go full law enforcement over this, they've got our entire municipal infrastructures throughout our nation seeded with terrorists. They'll burn down our cities. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to set up guardrails. We're going to give them keys to the kingdom. We're going to make it so they can only do so much damage. And they're not even going to be able to figure out exactly how our systems of control are preventing them from doing the things that they want to do. And then during that time, we will have limited administrative control of the national essential functions, which will be distributed throughout the United States in a devolved fashion. And hopefully by the end of that 4 years, we will have everything in place to prevent them from doing all this shit they'll do if we go full law enforcement this time.
Exactly right.
Boom. All right, where am I going next? I got so many of them. I got enough to do 2 hours by myself.
And by the way, just they're also showing you right now in a big way. If you really look back at the last 6 months, 5 months since June, I mean, Biden has literally done nothing. You oh, we got a news story. Yeah, he let them use missiles over in Russia. Okay, cool. He's done. It's like he doesn't even exist anymore.
He did do some things. He extended all Donald Trump's executive.
Well, yeah. Sure.
Here's another one.
Mr. President, nobody's ever seen anything like it.
Well, it's been a great experience. It's a dangerous business, however, being president. It's a little bit dangerous. It's, they think race car driving is dangerous. No, they think
it's a dangerous business being president.
Yeah. They have a very freaking high assassination rate compared to, say, internet trolls like myself.
He didn't say it's dangerous running or being an ex-president, or he said it's a dangerous job being president. Are you always president once you're president?
No. You get the title. You get to keep the title. And yeah, he was supposedly out of office while that interview was taking place. By the way, real quick shout out to Sanders. What's her name? Sarah Huckabee Sanders.
Huckabee, yeah.
She looks fabulous, by the way. She's gone full skinny bitch. So whether it's Ozempic or whether it's discipline, congrats.
I agree.
Maybe
This one,
maybe she's been replaced, Patrick.
I know, right?
Patrick, I'm going to challenge you with this one. I think
Okay.
this one's more recent, last month or two.
And I didn't know anybody. I had to rely, and I still did great. Look, we rebuilt the military. We knocked out ISIS. We did all these things. We did great. We had the best economy. We had the best everything. Everything was good. But I had some people that if I had it to do again, I wouldn't have used. Now I've been there 4 years, plus another 4 that I'm sort of there in a way. I know the best people. To me, it's all about people. You got to have the right people. I didn't know anybody. I had to rely, and I still
explain that to me.
Here's what I'm explaining. He's openly at a black barber shop telling him, "So guys, I did this whole devolution thing, okay?" And they're kind of looking confused. I think that he's just telling us at this point. Do you think this means he's going to reveal it like openly, or will it just be a case of the choice to know will be ours?
I don't know the answer to that. I think
I've heard arguments from both sides. I don't know. I tend to think it's the latter of what you said. It's going to be the choice to know, and I think if it, I don't know. It's a difficult thing. I don't know how they could do it without. They'd have to craft a pretty good story to not actually upset the normies. Because I was actually talking to somebody last night with another Anon that was kind of like an normie, but she was willing to listen to what we were saying, and she's like, "So they're completely lying to us." Well, yes, they are. That's part of war. It's acceptable losses. You can either let us get nuked by Hillary Clinton, or they could go this route. I don't know. I waver on it. What do you think, Rambo?
I want to ask Patrick a question.
Hit me.
And I think that this will insinuate what I'm getting at with answering yours. There's a certain person of very high stature and accolade that goes to GART. And it's a running conversation behind the scenes. I've never heard this from the man, but it's basically been insinuated that certain people have been involved in conversations that make it seem like something like a devolution will get the accolades it deserves, but it's certainly not going to happen anytime soon. However, it will happen.
Are you talking about General Quast?
Yes, I'm trying not to say that.
Rambo opens the door a crack and Patrick kicks it down.
I've heard that General Quast basically said devolution's over the target, and that that people like John and everybody involved in Badlands will get the accolades they deserve, but it's not going to happen yet. It's not going to happen anytime soon.
I think that General Quast is the closest thing we're going to get to an inside opinion. Nevertheless, even a General Quast is not going to have all the answers, because any operation like this is going to be so compartmented. If I were to design an operation like this, I would make it ultra compartmented. So what a guy like General Quast would be doing, he would be saying, okay, this looks like operations using procedures that I am familiar with and know for a fact from experience exist. So his opinion is going to be the most worthwhile to try to figure out what the hell is going on. And it was freaking amazing. By the way, when I first did Threadfest, I'm pretty sure that General Quast didn't show up until Threadfest 2. And then they both came to Threadfest. He and his wife came to Threadfest 2. And that was one of the things he said pretty early on. He said, you guys are over the target. What you have found here is something like what's probably going on. But General Quast doesn't get read in on that stuff. He just knows the craft and knows how the game is played. In fact, he actually said during one of his question and answers that he held the nuclear football. Now, what the hell the nuclear football actually is, I don't even know, but he held it, which means, as far as I'm concerned, he's about as much of an insider as you can get.
I'd like to know who's holding it right now.
If he held the football, wouldn't that mean that he has Q clearance?
I think, yes. but I don't even know what
touch
the hell Q
anything
clearance
nuclear.
means.
Aren't you supposed to have Q clearance? Isn't that the whole point?
Isn't Q clearance the highest clearance?
Yeah. Like, in other
It's a
words,
pardon.
there are, in my understanding,
Definitely.
there are a number of, and I might be butchering this, so let's take this with a grain of salt. But my understanding is that there are a number of, obviously, certain people that you would know have Q clearance, and there are also a number of commanders of nuclear submarines that have autonomous Q clearance in the event of something happening because they are out there with that. So I don't know if that carries over to the football, but I do know anybody that's got anything near a button, it does have Q clearance.
Yep.
And honestly, we would never know if he has it. So it's
You know, it was funny. We were talking about what happens when devolution comes to an end, and that's called reconstitution. And I remember saying I just kind of fired back at Quast. So, have there been devolutions and reconstitutions that have taken place throughout our history that maybe we don't know about? And he says, I can neither confirm nor deny. But what he said after that was, but the way these things happen, they would have to stay quiet. And so we may get some of our props, but I think maybe some of those props might come in the form of larger audiences, greater lotion sales, perhaps. I don't really need the like open props from Trump saying, "Hey, bald guy, you did a good job." I just need the bigger audience and the greater sales. That'll be fine. That's all I ask for.
Well, you can't hate a man for being honest. All right. These last couple are more popular. People have seen them, but they're more popular and people have seen them for a reason.
Performance, they've never seen anything like it. Very much reminiscent of the days of FDR. You know, FDR had a beautiful patrician voice, magnificent voice, great debater, very smart man. You know, FDR, 16 years, almost 16 years. He was 4-term. I don't know. Are we going to be considered 3-term or 2-term? You tell me. Ronnie, what do you think? Are we 3-term or 2-term if we win?
He's just really in our face with it, you know?
Especially when you put them all together like this.
2 terms or 3 terms? I don't know. Maybe 4 terms. Remember that one time when he says, we could go 9 years. We could go 13 years. We could go 17 years. Now, what is the 9th letter of the alphabet? I. What is the 13th letter of the alphabet? M. And what is the 17th letter of the alphabet? Q. IMQ. He said it right in front of us. 9, 13, 17. Hey, guys. Hey, not being subtle here.
That's a great one. I didn't even know that one, Patrick.
No, I didn't know that one either. No.
Oh, you don't remember that? Man, that was
I
so
love that.
friggin' sweet. He's doing some kind of rally, and I'm pretty sure it was before the stolen election, and he just randomly says, you know, maybe we'll go more than 8 years. Maybe we'll go 9 years. Maybe we'll go 13 years. Maybe we'll go 17 years. Good times. Really good times.
Oh, this one's not loading correctly. I'm going to have to find it a different way.
You know, and then you go back and you have him. I know, Rambo, you've shown it the times when he was trying to pretend like the teleprompter isn't working, and he's holding up the binder with the seal on it. It says the president on it. He did that twice in a row. Madison Square Garden, he was talking about the teleprompters again. He said, isn't it nice to have a president that doesn't need teleprompters? He's just constantly putting in the first person in the present.
Let me see if I can find that video.
Here's another good one. Here's a good one. Explain this.
Under the normal rules, I'll be out in 2024, so we may have to go for an extra term. Under the normal rules.
The hell does that mean?
No, when was this?
Believe it was just before 2020. Those signs say 2020.
Yeah.
Okay, of course. Thank you.
He was telegraphing it. He was literally telegraphing it.
Under the normal rules, I would be out in 2024.
But they stole 2 years from him. I remember that. They stole at least 2 years from him. you could argue more based on Russia, based upon impeach, this disgusting display of criminality. And so he's saying maybe we get some more. And I think he says maybe we'll go 9 years, maybe we'll go 13 years, maybe we'll go 17 years. And that's just IMQ. So, you know, stay with me, deplorables. You're going to like how this movie ends.
That's right.
Keep going. I need 1 second.
Okay, cool. Dave, I don't know where to find that video, but it was friggin' amazing at the time. When did you start watching the Q drops in the first place?
I didn't start looking at them really until 2019, to be honest.
Okay.
And I always admit at first I didn't buy into it. I was too busy being stuck in the Matrix.
Oh, okay.
So I really, it was like 2020. I fell hard and fast, and then it became however many years of 18 hours a day digging into all this stuff.
COVID was the big catalyst for most of us in huge ways. I was a Q guy mid 2018. So the first 6 months, I just thought of Q as something that periodically, and I'll just admit it, Jerome Corsi was friggin' bringing up.
Mm-hmm.
And Jerome Corsi, I think of now as just being one of Alex Jones's handlers, and I think of Alex Jones as just being an intelligence asset. Some say Mossad, some, Q even said he was Mossad, but I got really into it in the middle of 2018 when we started seeing weird stuff like those very same teams starting to shit all over Q. And that's when I really perked my head up. I said, okay, so these suspicious people are backing away from Q. What am I missing here? Maybe it's way more important than I ever gave it credit for. Because you had all sorts of crazy ops to try to discredit Q. And those ops came from Alex Jones himself. They came from this one very fat dude named Matt Couch. You may recognize that name. Another dude, Jack Posobiec, who seemed to bolster the theory that there was some kid named Austin Steinbart who was Q. Anybody who said they thought Austin Steinbart was Q instantly became a friggin' pariah to me. If you think Austin Steinbart is Q, there's either something wrong with you and I should never listen to you again, or you're trying to trick the world and I should never listen to you again.
Steinlarp, we call him.
Steinbart. Yeah, Steinlarp.
Yeah. And Q referenced it many times. Like, why all this attention for a LARP? Why are you trying to discredit a movement if there's nothing to it? Why all the attacks?
I know. I mean, you're getting Q graffiti worldwide. The People's Republic of China is filled with tons and tons of Q-tards just like us.
Patrick, my account every night, starting at about midnight, gets retweeted and translated into Japanese, Chinese, Taiwanese every night. I could show you all of my posts get shared in Asia like crazy.
Yeah, my two biggest, actually, I think it's 40% of my Rumble audience is international, and the two biggest countries outside of the US that get traffic are Germany and Japan.
I just shipped buttons to Australia. Nicholas's buttons. I just shipped them last week. I shipped buttons to Australia.
Well, that's at least an English-speaking country. The Japan and China part, that's really kick-ass. I've looked at my numbers. I have exactly jack shit in China. So if you would like to introduce me to your dog-eating friends, I would be delighted to broadcast to them.
I haven't seen it translated into Haitian. All right, here's probably the most famous one. You ready?
I got indicted when my numbers went up. It's a weird. That's because you know me. I didn't take a salary. I worked my ass off, and we did a phenomenal job. We did a phenomenal job for this country. But for the first time ever, I never thought they indict their political opponent. And what that does is it sets off a chain of events that's very dangerous in future years. It could happen to them very easily. The reason Crooked Joe and his thugs are trying so hard to stop me is that in my first term, I disrupted all of it. Oh, did I disrupt? That was called major disruption. And in my second term, which we're sort of having now, but I don't want the results, right? I don't want the results of this second term. This second term is a disaster for this country. Worst president, think of it. There's never been a president like this. I say that.
There is no spinning that.
Nope.
No, there is not. I love every minute of it.
All of the people out here that are saying Hugh's a LARP or Devolution's a LARP, what you guys talk about has no reality, is scattered in the wind with that quote. Because the idea that Donald Trump is doing something, it's unspinnable when he tells you we're sort of having my second term right now.
Yeah. And I think moving from that to, all right, now I'm going to give everybody a little more information. July 13th happens. He turns to a chart that has Trump leaves office pointing at April Fool's Day. And then he bashes a squib on his ear while he falls to the ground. And he gets up. He says, okay, guys, all right, come on, gather around. Let's do Q drop 2190. Fight, fight, fight. And then he gets shuffled off by, 4 non-blondes. And bam, operation complete.
Don't forget the magic bullet. The magic bullet, the 30,000 miles an hour captured on an iPhone, wherever the heck it was.
That was so friggin' ridiculous. There are smart people out there who sent me that photo and said, look, they caught the bullet. I'm like, but bro, you just need to shut up. You don't catch bullets on camera. That's not a thing.
And it happened to be the same New York Times photographer that photographed Bush on 9/11. Like, come on, people. Come on, guys.
I'll remember the name.
And just the whole spelling the guy's name wrong on the jacket. We can keep going. I'm sorry.
No, keep going because I got more.
Well, that just actually, because somebody was asking me about this last night, and we were kind of walking them through this, and I showed the jacket. I said, "Do you really believe they were going to spell the firefighter's name wrong?" And I had fun when people tried to tell me that the printing company only accepts 10 letters. So, fortunately, but unfortunately, I used to do product sourcing for a living, so it took about 17 minutes for me to go online and find the company that make the jackets and see that the letter limit is 12, not 10. So,
nevertheless, you don't misspell somebody's name because of a character limit.
No.
What? I always go through this. I don't remember what I did, but I don't remember what I found, but I went and looked for, in general, when I think a person is fake, I put their name into ChatGPT and I say, give me the best anagrams for that name. And I don't remember what it was, but some of it was pretty good. And then I forgot it. That's kind of half of my research. I find good shit and then I forget about it and I can't reproduce it. So that's why we have people like John who actually do good research.
Look, I know this is a throwaway one. It's been talked about a billion times, but please explain to me how Donald Trump would not understand mathematical grammar and then print it on about 1 billion hats in 7 different colors.
Well, let's think. No, there's no way around it. He's got all 3 terms. And Gavin Wax said the same thing.
Right.
Well, and once again, like everything else, context matters. I might be able to believe that with certain people, but if you've studied Donald Trump and if you've read about him, and I mean before he was involved with this, and he is famous for walking into one of his properties and seeing a fingerprint 600 feet away on a railing and telling somebody to clean it, or usually he'll clean it himself. Like he is that detail oriented. You've seen the clips, Rambo. You've shown it of him sitting down for an interview, and when he's prepping, he's trying to
That's
figure out
John Harold.
Yeah,
John Harold uses that one. Yeah,
where to put the glass of water. So the context matters, because a guy that is as detailed and anal as he is didn't just be like, "Oh, Joey printed the wrong hats. Yeah, just let it go." No, absolutely not.
So then, can we agree that this would be weird?
You know, the Democrat National Convention that was held, the last one, they had IDs that were so big, that were so egregious. It was sort of like this. It was like this. It was chained around their necks.
Do you know what that says?
Yep.
Do you see that binder, Patrick?
Yes, I do.
Okay, hold on. I'll blow it up for you. The president with the presidential seal, and he's showing it as if he's depicting the Democrats' ID.
Yep. Freaking nuts, man. By the way, for what it's worth, Cori Comparatore is an anagram for cooperate mercy.
Oh, come on.
I don't really know what that means, but cooperate mercy. Mercy cooperate. That's Cori Comparatore.
And what was the letter that they left out?
I don't remember.
It was the A. It was the A.
Uh-huh.
And if I remember correctly, the A in kill brackets. Let me just double check. It's been a while since I did this.
Guys, smack that thumb up for us if you could. I got one more topic.
I'd have to go through that, but if you're bored, drop an A in kill brackets. One of the ones you get that I think is what he was pointing to is how many times does he hit drop 129, Rambo? Right? He just 129 years, 129. What is one of the terms in that drop? It's a bracketed A, closing act.
Okay, so if you drop one of the A's, it becomes mercy operator or comet recovery.
Operator? Like literally operator?
Mercy operator would be an anagram for Cori Comper. Wait a minute.
So you're telling me if you misspell it, if you take the A out, then one of the anagrams is the word operator?
No, it corrected the spelling for me. I didn't. All right. Cori, Compertore.
Mm-hmm.
Don't correct the spelling. That's what it did. It corrected the spelling. I think you meant comparatory. Here are the anagrams. Anyway, 2 words, use all letters.
I'm getting a cold. Pardon me for that.
Oh, no, it's the worst now. Now it's like comet reprocore. It's getting goofy.
Comet
So the correct spelling of comparatore gives us all those good anagrams. Thank you for allowing me to be autistic with you guys.
Absolutely. You kidding me? Well, Forpog, as we call them, the Four Side Group, I believe, plays with words all the time.
Who does?
You got Forpog, whoever's running this thing.
Oh.
You got Stormy Daniels. Stormy, obvious reference. Daniel means only God will judge me. Only God's my judge. It goes on and on. You got
Sam Bankman-Fried.
Bernie Madoff with the money.
Yeah, I know.
Thomas Crooks was protected by the head of Secret Service, Cheadle, Cheatle. Cheadle,
Right.
who was also confirmed on September 17th of 2022. All that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Can we do before we get out of here? Can we talk about these nuts?
Of course, we must.
By the way, is there anybody left on X that actually believes this is real? Because I feel bad for them at this point.
No,
I still see people digging for that, looking for that artist.
I got burned hard by this one. I said, hey guys, obviously the one with Trump in it is the AI generated thing. And it was using this 1721 painting as a model by Dietz Knudsen.
Hold on.
So-
Let me just tell you, I got burned on it too when it came out. I just mean at this point, like literally now, 2 days later, there's still people arguing about it. I'm like, guys, it's look at it. It says D's nuts. Like, come on.
Patrick, I want to explain to you why I got burned. And it wasn't that I believed the picture was real. I knew pretty right away when I saw that it's Bone GPT that it was an AI painting. It only took me, I don't know, 45 seconds or so to figure that out. However, the 1721 was very interesting to me because Elon Musk threw a laughing emoji underneath of this. So I instantly thought there has to be something legitimate to it. Now, if you go back to when Elon Musk posted his he posted his QNN Pepe with what's his face on there. It was posted at 5:20 p.m. So I connected it to the drop that was 1720. So drop 1720 is when does a bird sing? Well, Bolton was literally called a hawk by Trump, and he was called Mike Bolton multiple times, the singer. So I wrote a whole thread on this attached to Stormy Patriot Joe's posts that were telling us to follow Bolton. Well, it turns out that drop 1721 is one of those drops that is referencing to the one prior. So 1720 is encapsulated in 1721. So my dot connecting anon autism literally set me down this crazy rabbit hole to the point where me and Kim were like frustrated with it last night. Like frustrated with it. She's going through all his friends, looking up who they are. They all love playing with AI. We're trying to figure out if we're actually communicating with AI because now we're talking to this person on DMs.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going through their YouTube channels. I'm going through. I don't want to dox them because I promised I wouldn't, but I figured out who they are in real life. And I sent them their own phone number. And they instantly DM'd me and asked me to delete and to please don't dox me. It's dangerous for me. And I was like, absolutely. I took it down. That's not my style. I don't dox people.
So
However, Dave and I are still questioning whether or not I'm communicating with AI because you know what's funny? In the DMs, I asked, can you please just tell me why you used the number 1721? And his answer was, I was going to use 1738, but I wanted to use 17. I don't know why. He's like, I just did it earlier, 1721. Well, do you know what the difference between 1721 and 1738 is?
I do indeed. 17.
So I'm like, what the hell? So then I messaged him again. I'm like, you effing with me? And its answer was basically, I wish I was that smart. It's just because I'm a fan of Fetty Wap, and Fetty Wap wears this chain with 17, whatever it is, 38. I'm mixing my numbers up. But
yeah, cool story, bro.
If it's AI, they have made AI smart enough to make you feel like you are speaking with a real person. There was nothing choppy. There was very real panic in the way I read their interactions. But I literally, like, if it's AI, no matter what it is, whatever it is, when I put that number, they were like, how did you find me? And then asked me to explain how I did so that they could go back and get rid of that trail because they didn't want to be doxxed. Me and Kim were high-fiving each other like, we're real anons. We found this. It was really funny. It was funny. And not only that, but in DMs, I asked him, I said, well, would you like, I said, you don't have to show your face. You can use your avatar. Would you like to come on the show and explain? Because this freaking AI painting hit Newsweek. It's all over the world. This thing went around the world 17 times.
Wow.
And he said yes, but he works 9 to 5. So I offered him up for Dave's show. I'm trying to get him to see if he'll go on Dave's show and we can talk about his story with this. Because if you read his comments, it's not a secret. He's laughing his ass off. Like, I can't believe this went that viral. He's making fun of the TikTok. He's laughing at all the things that came along with this thing going viral. But how funny is that if I did figure out who it was?
Crazy. By the way, the name Juan Manuel Merchan can be rearranged to spell unreal human ace. Because he's fake. He doesn't exist.
Yeah, can we touch on that for 1 second, Joe?
Yeah.
Or let me at least
Please.
ask Patrick, where do we stand with that? Because I'm getting conflicting reports. There was a story posted yesterday by the Daily Mail saying he postponed the sentencing, but I'm reading today that the Trump attorneys, and we all know this is a show, but you get what I'm saying, that they're still fighting it. What is your understanding of where we are with that whole thing right now?
Mine? What do you think I have you guys for? I have no fucking clue. Every time I hear about Juan Merchan, I'm too gobsmacked that people don't look at his face having the exact same expression on it and thinking he's real. I don't buy it. So I just dismiss it completely at all times. I also find the lawfare to be less than credible because Donald Trump is using a literal supermodel as his lead attorney, Alina Habba. I'm sure she's smart enough, but I don't want her as my lead criminal attorney. She's too hot. There is no way she hasn't used her looks in one way or another to cut some corners.
Bro,
So
have you seen the new press secretary?
she's hot as fuck too, dude.
Karen Levitt, yeah.
Yeah.
Youngest press secretary ever.
Hey, if she's as good as Kayleigh McEnany, then
Is that
her looks will be a
possible?
total asset.
Is that possible?
Kayleigh was really good.
Carolyn Levitt is a bulldog.
Okay.
She's a pit bull. She is, but
I don't
but
care.
I going back. I don't need to keep screaming about this. I've been talking about this forever. There's no way I believe. The same way I don't believe Merchan is real. I don't believe that Alina. I know she's portraying her as a real attorney. She probably is, but I don't believe for a minute that a 39-year-old attorney is handling the affairs of one of the smartest, wealthiest men in the world. It just doesn't work that way.
Correct. That's stupid. It's nice to have her facing the public. If you're going to have somebody face the public, it's nice that she looks like that. It's also nice that she's a wonderful spokesperson, but there is no chance that she's the actual, real legal eagle taking care of Trump's affairs. Sorry, no.
Well, I bring
too
this up
hot.
all the time, but she's Q's heiress, according to Kash Patel 3 years ago on True Social.
She's
That's right.
Q's heiress.
You've never seen that? Oh,
No.
I could find
Yeah.
it. Kash Patel posted on True Social, give or take, it was 3 years ago or so. He posted on True Social him and Alina Habba sitting at a table. I mean, we dug into it. We tried to figure out what time was on his watch, everything. But it literally says having lunch with Q's heiress. And the account that retruthed it was the Q account that was instated before Donald Trump.
I want to know who the hell that is. Remember when Cash said, "I'm having a beer with Q"?
Yep.
Flannel Friday.
Yep.
Damn. Okay. So here, look at this. Look at it. So smart women can't be pretty. That's exactly right. Smart women can't be pretty. Now we know. All right. Anyway, because that's the logical inference of what I just said.
That's exactly what Patrick was saying. That's how I
No.
know.
Nailed it right on. Good job.
No.
Let me take this one. What we are saying is, and I've spoken about this, when you are 78 years old, you have access to the smartest, most experienced humans on earth, and you are being put on trial, ostensibly, for something that could land you in jail for 170 years. You're going to get an attorney that's in their 60s or 70s. Why? Number one, they have 30 years or more of trial experience than Ms. Habba. Number two, one of the importances of having an experienced attorney is not just the cases they've done, but the relationships they've developed with the prosecutors, the AGs, and the judges themselves. And that is why you spend the money when you're 78 to get an F. Lee Bailey, going rest in peace, type of attorney when your ass is on the line, not the 39-year-old male or female attorney. That's the point.
I can draw an even further parallel because, first of all, Donald Trump's surrounded by brilliant, beautiful women. Surrounded. across the board, tons of them. Look at his cabinet choices. Donald Trump is a central casting type of dude. He's told us many, many times. Look at the people he's choosing to put into positions. Matt Gaetz, Fox hosts, the beautiful women you've ever seen to be his lawyer and to be his press secretary. Donald Trump loves central casting. I don't know that we're still not watching a casting call at this point. It's what he does across the board.
And dude, you have to call it the way it is. We're in a narrative war. Okay. And there's a reason that Fox News, when they shot up to number one. Now I'm just going to call it the way it is.
I'm looking at pictures of Alina Habba right now. There's no way that this is his lead attorney.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Part of what we're doing right now, it's that old adage, right? It's the Breitbart doctrine that I write about all the time, right? Politics is downstream of now I'm butchering it. The point is you cannot shift politics until you shift public opinion, right? That politics is downstream of culture. Thank you. You have to shift culture in order to shift politics. Part of doing that is look, it's marketing. If you're going to put 3 women around Trump in a movie setting where the whole thing is essentially scripted anyway, you're going to naturally pick people that look like Alina Habba. Why? Because they know the casual guy that's watching the Yankee game is going to flip by. Oh, look, there's Donald Trump. Oh, wait, but there's a hot chick there. I'm going to stop and look at it. I'm sorry. That's just the way human psychology works. I don't think there's anything wrong with calling that out.
Damn, man. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I refuse to believe that she is his lead attorney. So that's just how it is. Sorry. When you're that hot, I won't take you seriously. No offense.
You can't say that.
Sorry, I'm going to be staring at your ass the whole time. It's just how it works.
I hope Alina Habba shows up at the next GART just so I could see this interaction.
All right.
What on earth could this guy and @Q's heiress be doing in northern Jersey down the street from Bedminster? Adelina Habba causing mischief.
Who knows?
Truth by Q. Crazy,
Boy.
right?
Yep.
We dug into it. We tried to find out who her parents were.
No way. And that's hard to do?
Very difficult. Yeah. It will lead you down a path of the Knights of Malta.
Amazing. Okay. Damn.
Yeah, I highly suggest anybody out there. Look, it's an old dig. I haven't done it since the show I was on prior to this one. That is an old photo. It's very difficult to find out who her folks are.
There's not a lot of info out there. Kayleigh
No.
McEnany's another one. Dig on her. Try to find her story. It's not. There's a bunch like that, Rambo. You're right. There's a bunch.
I believe her father was Knights of Malta. That was, if I remember correctly, like I said, old dig. That was the only conclusion we could come to. Before we do final thoughts, would you guys do me a favor? Since you've now, obviously, Patrick, you know him, but Dave, now you've met him as well. We went out to dinner with David Becker. I want to give David Becker the fullest praises he deserves. So while I find, I already have it up. While I pull the rest of this
I've got it, dude. I've got it.
Oh, you want to do the read? Well, I would love for you to give me your honest opinion on this man first, because I have something I want to add to it. Dude, him and his wife were two of the most amazing people at that whole place, and everybody was amazing, right? So I'm not discrediting anyone, but man, I mean, look, they wanted to go out to somewhere. I'm just going to tell the truth. They wanted to go out to somewhere that was very, very expensive. Okay. Kim and I are not rich people. We're not. And so I didn't want to say no, because David Becker is somebody that first and foremost is a patriot through and through. He supports Badlands all the way through. He's supporting this show. I believe he's talking to Dave. I don't know, those are private details, but I told him, I'm like, bro, that sounds amazing. He walked me to the freaking ATM and snuck $200 like, here, and so I paid for Dave and me and Kim. I didn't pay for him. David Becker bought our dinner. The dude is salt of the earth. So I don't know. I wanted you guys to talk before we just did his read like he's just some sponsor. He's not. The dude's a friend.
David Becker got me my first good microphone. So when I first started reading Epic Threads, I was just using the computer mic on my crap old ass laptop. And David Becker sent me an email and said, buy this microphone. Check your PayPal. And he sent me the money to buy the microphone. So I did it right then and there. And I got the predecessor to this Yeti Blue microphone. This is the second one. So this isn't the original, but it's the same thing. And so he was responsible for that. And his wife, Carrie, told me just randomly, she said, yeah, he came to me one day and said, look, I have to send $100 to this guy, Patrick, because his microphone sucks. And it's just something I've got to do. Don't ask me about it. Okay.
I'll say this about David Becker. It was my first experience meeting him. As I've gone down this journey, I've had some very intelligent people that I respect, not the least of which being my own mother, that a couple of years ago when I said, what the hell am I going to do with my life? I mean, what am I going to be, a professional Q analyst? And people would give me the right. People would give it. She and many others gave me the advice of, listen, just pay attention. Like, God will just they're going to send good people. He'll send good people into your life, and they'll kind of show you the way. Two of them are on the screen above me right now, both of you guys. But I have to say, David and I had some conversations. I don't think I've ever met anybody who is more supportive of the work that people like Badlands and the three of us do individually as well. And I don't think I've ever met anybody in this movement that has been more encouraging, kind, and supportive of what I have done and am doing than David Becker. And it was just probably the highlight of my weekend, one of many, getting to chat with him for, a number of different instances. So I can't say enough good things about the man and his wife.
His wife's amazing too. Yeah. All right. So if you have it pulled up, Patrick, I'd love for you to do is read, because this doesn't only support this show, but it also supports what are amazing patriots in David and his wife. They're absolutely amazing. So,
well, I did have it pulled up, and then I spaced out. Oh, wait, here it is. Found it. Guys, are you paying too much for your health insurance? Fall is the time of open enrollment, and also when insurance companies send out their annual rate increases. For many, the high cost of medical insurance is about to get even worse. David Becker and his son Jesse of Mid-Atlantic Business Alliance are here to help you get the best possible PPO insurance coverage at affordable rates. If you think the cost of groceries has exploded, you should see what the hospitals are charging these days. Without the proper PPO protection, you could be liable for tens of thousands of dollars in the event of a surgery or hospital stay. Since 1990, Mid-Atlantic Business Alliance has helped individuals and small businesses get access to nationwide PPOs, which cover both in-network and out-of-network charges in every state. All Cigna PPOs now come with full concierge benefits. If you're stuck paying for your own medical insurance, call David for a free quote at 609-577-8557 or visit midatlanticba.com. That's midatlanticba.com. I am a full coverage customer with my whole family, and when it did count, I can tell you right now, when my wife did have to be hospitalized for 4 days, and you know that ain't cheap, we didn't have to pay a penny.
I will say one more thing. If you're one of those people that's just like shy to get on the phone, that it takes a little bit of motivation before you're able to just call and talk to somebody, and you want to know a little bit more about David, I did a long form commercial, short form interview with David. It's on the channel. Scroll down just a little bit and you'll see where we hung out for about 20 minutes and he gave a brief overview. So if you want a brief overview from David Becker himself, just scroll down on my page and you'll see it. It's like a 15-20 minute interview I did with David. So
all right. Guys, thank you so much. I got to run right now. I got to get going. Thank you so much, Joe. Dave, Hope to see you next week. Take
Yeah,
care, guys.
Tuesday.
All right.
Later, Pat.
Thanks,
Bye.
David. Thanks, Patrick. He's awesome.
Yeah.
Let me run through. Do you mind if I run through some Rumble rants
take your
and
time, man.
pills? Pills. We got Paul Thaddeus over here. I feel bad for you, all you guys over there watching on Pilled. I made a mistake yesterday. The show that I did was not my show. I was a guest on Dave's show, who you see on the screen right now. So StreamYard only allowed me as a guest to go to 2 locations. So I put that show up on Pilled and it didn't connect. And that was because of StreamYard's limitations. It was not on purpose. I apologize. And Paul Thaddeus gifted a can. Thank you very, very much, bro. I appreciate you. Over on Rumble, $5 Rumble rant from JWS 2020. Do you guys think the EBS will actually happen? And if so, what do you think about it being part of the scare event and maybe World War III? I'm going to give that to you, Dave.
You know, the EBS is something I waver on, like probably sometimes daily, because it's one of those things. It's got, we've talked about this, Rambo. It's kind of like Nasara. It's one of those things that's been so propagandized by some people in the movement. We've all heard the stories. Oh, the EBS is going to come on and it's going to be 3 days of 8-hour movies and they're going to tell us everything. And look, we all know it's not going to go that way. Recently, I've kind of been more on the train that I don't know if we're going to see it, at least not the way we think. But then I can't dismiss this video that Elon put out the other day, right? The one we were analyzing yesterday on this show. And in that screen, in that video, is a very clear haze in the background behind Trump of an emergency alert with the voiceover saying activation code Ronald McDonald in a Q video. Donald Trump, how many times have we seen the number 34, Rambo? When he got indicted in Miami, the document was 34 pages long. The counts right now that we're talking about with Mershon, Donald Trump was convicted on 34 counts. They've telegraphed 34 to us so many times I've lost count, and 34 is the Q drop that essentially talks about the arrest of Mr. Podesta, riots, and the emergency broadcast system, or EAS, how they put it. We've heard Donald Trump talking about Mars. There's people that have talked about Mars being the military, whatever the acronym is. It's for an alert system. So they keep telegraphing that. This is drop 34. And public riots are being organized on POTUS order. A state of temporary military control will be action. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but down near the bottom right here, we'll be initiating the emergency broadcast system, EMS, during this time in an effort to provide a direct message avoiding the fake news to all citizens. I can't discount that because it keeps getting telegraphed for us. So what is it going to look like? I don't know. I still believe that at some point I just don't see us going straight through this inauguration. Maybe we'll get to the inauguration, but I don't believe, after all the stuff we've gotten, after all this, the operation that's been played out, all of the things we've seen, all the times that Q has been right, that we're just going to glide through the next 4 years and there's not going to be some sort of precipice type of moment. There has to be.
It's my favorite word.
So
I love that word.
I guess if you put a gun to my head, yeah, I think it will have some involvement. I can't ignore all the messaging, which I can't drift away from Q now, right? There's all that messaging, and now it's coming from Elon himself. Elon would certainly probably have some with Starlink, the Iron Dome, right? We just got a message the other day from Starlink. How many satellites did they put up? 1,700. Well, that's interesting, right? That wouldn't that all connect to Elon Musk? And now he's putting out messaging that includes Q and an emergency alert system. So I would think it's probably going to come into play. I just don't think it's going to be to the level that people have propagandized it, where the whole world's going to stop and everyone's going to sit home. I don't think that's going to be the case, but I do think it's there for a reason.
My man, I agree. I don't even have anything to add to that. I think it was awesome. 4,000 people here watching live, bro. Middle of the day. It's freaking awesome. Guys, you're well over 500 likes. Continue that process. It means the world. You get more eyes on the show. We hit that leaderboard. I think you guys probably already have us there, but of course, I love asking because it's I think it's what grows this show in the long run. But back to the people that donated. So KDD912 with a $17 Rumble Rant, hashtag free Rambo. Thank you so very much. Anti AJV rather. I'm sorry. Miss watching you guys live. Lots going on here in California. Watch for it. We are. I love the unity of Rambo and Friends uniting with NT17. Thank you. Friends from Whittier, Nixon Town. It's pretty cool, California. And I believe there was one more. There was a $2 Rumble Rant down here a little bit further. Where are we at?
I have it here, Rambo. You want me to read it?
Yeah, sure.
Gator Rob with the $2 Rumble Ramp. Love this show. 3 badass dudes coming up with awesome analysis. The 9317 is something I may have heard but forgotten. IMQ.
And then that is not the end. The infamous Brass Cubes, who was in the photo with us wearing the Enoch shirt, talking to General Quast himself. Brass Cubes gifted $17. So fun hanging out with you two this past weekend. Where we go one, we go all. Brass Cubes and his wife are awesome. Amazing people. That was a blast. And then 257 coming in late with the $5 Rumble Rant. Can we talk about how Elon has to be central casting? No way he's running all these companies and doing everything else. Plus, space is fake and gay.
The show just got extended by 2 hours.
Because I'm not having that debate. I'm not having the space debate.
Although I do agree with 257. I'm just saying.
I know, and so would have Patrick. You guys would have ganged up on me. I've told what I believe on this show. I went full flat Earth. I migrated back towards the middle. I am still undecided. Similar to how I feel about the JOOS is I'm undecided. I'm still digging and paying attention and listening and researching before I make any type of concrete. What I don't like is when the respectful debate becomes an argument and people become emotionally tied and then they fight with each other. I believe that divides us. So I don't like that. And my experience is that some people get too amped and want to call the other person retarded or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not cool with that.
Mm-hmm.
So is what it is. You want to tell everybody what you got coming up, bro?
Well, do you want to address the question at all about Elon? Or
Oh, yeah. Do Elon. Sorry, I got stuck on flat Earth. Yeah, for sure.
Well, I mean, I think we've covered it. It's of course Elon is central casting. It's the same logic that Rambo was just using with Donald Trump, right? The 78-year-old guy manages to be in 17 different places at the same time, flying all over the place. I mean, look, even if Elon Musk ran one company, it's not possible for him to be as active on X as he is. If you think about the companies he's running that we're told, SpaceX, Starlink, Tesla, the Boring Company. I mean, no one even really talks about the Boring Company. That you should look into that. I mean, that is a company they're literally building. You'll get to see it if you go to GART in Vegas. They're literally building. They've built an entire underground tunnel system in Vegas with automated Teslas that drive themselves. That's how you can get around underground. That's his company. So it's not even possible for him to be doing everything he is. And there's just your simple logical inference that absolutely he's central casting. He's openly the largest independent government contractor there is. And we all know how that works, right? Whether all these people on the bad side, the Zuckerbergs, the Sergey Brins, even going back to Bill Gates, they've always been sort of these front men for DARPA projects. And I think Elon is the same thing on the good side.
Yeah. Elon's something, that is for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, I don't even think Elon bought Twitter.
I've been very open saying he didn't buy Twitter. We seized Twitter.
Yeah,
that's me. This is me saying this, not Rambo. I'm just saying my take has been if you follow the executive orders, you follow what Q basically telling Jack Dorsey for a year beforehand that they're coming for him, and you read what the executive orders allow them to do for crimes against humanity, and you understand how Twitter was used to perpetrate crimes against humanity, then and then you understand that it's the most significant weapon in a war. They would if there's one thing on this planet that's non-kinetic, if there is one company on this planet that you cannot let fall into the hands of the white hats in this war, it's Twitter. So then how did they get it? If it went on the open market, somebody else would have purchased it. So I think I've been saying for 2 years, and without doing the whole dig on it on this show, that what it is that the military seized Twitter under the executive orders is one way to do it. Under War Powers Act would be another way to do it. And it's a story they can't tell the public. So like so many other things, Roe versus Wade in the Supreme Court and all these others, they're just giving you a public narrative because the public can't and wouldn't accept the notion of the military kicking down the door and seizing Twitter because they don't know what we do.
Bro,
So it's
read
a
this.
public story.
I'm going to read. This is one of my favorite drops personally. If you look at this from the perspective of Twitter, I believe it was a hostile takeover. I think that Elon Musk has the highest ever contract of a civilian from the Department of Defense. I believe that this may be in part what they were referencing, military-civilian alliance. The government can't just take over social media. What would be the difference from what we were trying to fight? He told us straight up that it's not only a social media app, it's a crime scene.
Mm-hmm.
So could a civilian that's contracted by the military then do so? So I guess you would be right in my theory. However, it would be spearheaded by what is a civilian. He's not military. He's not even American. He's born in freaking South Africa.
Well, can I push back on that for a second though?
Sure.
That would imply that, okay, so if that's the case, right, then you have to say, all right, the market value, they were saying that it was a $44 billion acquisition, right? So I guess my question is, and it doesn't, I'm not saying what I'm saying, I'm probably oversimplifying it, but the question becomes, if you understand the power of that platform, and look, dude, we see this all the time. Why do you think people pay, why do you think somebody buys the Dodgers for $6 billion, right? Or if you do the cash flow of the Los Angeles Dodgers, none of those teams are actually worth that money. It's a vanity purchase, right? These hedge fund guys will literally just outbid each other because they want it. And that doesn't have the value of X. So I guess my question becomes, if it was more of not a takeover, not a military takeover, but spearheaded by Elon, what was to stop somebody like, and I know people could argue they're gone or whatever, but my point being, what would stop somebody like the Rothschilds or somebody connected to any one of these billionaire classes from saying, oh, 44 billion, I'll give you 100 billion. Why didn't that happen? In other words, what was the mechanism that stopped anyone on the bad side from even bidding on it? Well, how did they just let him walk in and buy the most powerful information platform in the world? That something had to stop the other people from getting it.
Well, they did the whole show. Sorry if I'm reiterating something you said. I was reading and listening at the same time. But they did the whole show where he offered an exuberant amount of money over what it was supposed to be worth. And then he said, no, I'm not going to do it. And then he said, yeah, I do want to do it. But they said, no, we're not going to do it. But then they had to because of the people that buy stock. It was this big played out thing to make it look as if, but it just seemed like whether it's military or it's.
You said the key thing, dude, right? You said, yeah, right. The board and the shareholders got involved because they have a fiduciary duty to take an offer that will maximum. But that's my point, right? So knowing this is how it works in a stock related company, right? If the board is saying, look, we're getting offered 44 billion, that's going to be whatever, $3 a share. And somebody else comes along and says, I'll give you $88 billion. That's $6 a share. The board is going to say they are required to take the higher value offer. So I'm wondering, somebody's got to explain to me at some point how, if it was completely organic, somebody else on the bad side didn't come in and just completely up his offer, or at least bid him to a point where he was paying a ridiculous amount. That's what I find curious.
I think you're right. It wasn't organic at all. But here's that drop I was talking about. this has never been attempted. Use of the general public, social media potentially could be encapsulated in that, to counter the narrative propaganda push by controlled media. Analysis start to now indicate situational awareness, decoupling of MSDNC control of information channels 1 through 99, of general public expanding at massive pace. Attacks indicate can be defined as loss of generalized information control, need to expand ammunition, muster network to defend and coordinate attacks to counter military civilian alliance. I think that drop, if you look at it from through the eyes of the Twitter purchase, it applies right to it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We got one final one in here last minute. UMM257 with a $5 Rumble rant. Also consider that supposedly he purchased over 5% without anyone knowing. That is considered a major investor and must be made public.
Yep.
Definite op. I agree. I agree with that 100%.
Yep. Yeah. SEC regulations. You have to disclose that. He's right.
Yeah. Well, do you want to tell everybody about Mike King tonight?
Yeah, we'll be over on channel 17. You can that link on the screen, newstreason.com, goes to our link tree. We'll have Mike King in his regular spot at 8 p.m. tonight. Mark's got a show coming up on Sunday with Mary Flynn, General Flynn's sister, so that'll be cool. And Patrick Gunnels we will have on next Tuesday at 8 p.m. So will probably be our final little warm up before a little Thanksgiving break, much needed. And as always, Rambo, thank you. Thanks for your time, brother. And hashtag free Rambo.
Yeah. Hashtag, I hope I get over this cold I'm obviously getting. I keep having to mute myself because I got the darn sniffles. I apologize for that. But be here tomorrow at 1 p.m. as well, as I believe. I got to call him. The Stormy Patriot Joe was in here earlier, but tomorrow is the guys from Eye of the Storm. Always show up on Thursday. So I always look forward to that one. Have a great show tonight, bro.
Thanks, man.
And
pleasure as always.
Text me. We'll talk. Love you.
Right,
just kidding.
I like Rambo. I like girls.
I like girls. I gotta find the outro. I'm not even ready. All right. Much love. See you guys tomorrow. Go check out Dave tonight. Peace.